You know, I'm way past worrying about what people that don't matter say. You know, there's so many people that they don't have a friggin' clue.
Well, it's easier for you. You don't run into these people in public.
Which people?
Any people that has a negative outlook on this thing.
Well, do you know who they are?
I mean, nah, man, but I mean, I get stopped and yelled at all the time. I got cussed out in the gas station the other day.
You kidding?
Nah.
So what?
Being who I am, I guess.
Who was it?
And so I don't know who he is. Some redneck fellow.
And what did he say?
He just started making a ruckus in the gas station, yelling at me, talking about WTOC's looking for me, and, you know, called me a piece of shit and just stuff like that. Just crazy stuff.
I'm sorry as I can be.
Okay. I mean, I don't really talk to him. I just kind of escape the situation.
WTOC. I mean, what does he know about WTOC?
Man, apparently he said he saw something on the news where they said that people are looking for me, or someone's. I don't know what he said. I mean, it's not like I sat there and asked any questions. I mean, I understand that you've done illegal, but that doesn't mean you can just, you know, turn a cold shoulder to the laws of the United States.
I'm allegedly done illegal stuff. I'm kidding. Anyway, but it is what it is, you know? It is what it is.
June 2021. The Murdaugh family was already shattered. A mother and son gunned down at close range on their own property. What followed was a media storm, a public frenzy, and a family trying to appear unbreakable. But when the dust began to settle, a new voice emerged. One that no one expected. From inside a jail cell, Alex Murdaugh kept calling. To his brothers, to his son, to friends. And every single word was recorded. He spoke about gym routines, cornbread, money. His tone, sometimes upbeat, other times hollow. But never once did he seem like a man in mourning. Instead, it was as if Alex believed he could still control the world from inside four walls. And maybe he could. Because just months after the killings, more than 100 criminal charges began stacking up. Embezzlement, fraud, lies that spanned over a decade. The Murdaugh name, once untouchable, was now written across headlines with one word attached: deception. Yet as prosecutors built their case brick by brick, something didn't sit right. How could a man so deeply enmeshed in scandal still have allies? Still be laughing on the phone? Still seem unbothered by the slaughter of his own family? Then came the trial. Cameras rolled. Journalists lined the pews. And the courtroom heard, for the very first time, the jailhouse tapes. And from the gallery, Buster Murdaugh watched. Tight-jawed, stone-faced, alone. He hadn't spoken publicly in over a year. Not to the press, not to the public. But now, his presence raised questions louder than any statement ever could. Would he stand by his father? Would he testify? And if he did, whose side would he take? Because in this courtroom, the truth wasn't just on trial. The weight of a century-old dynasty sat beside it. The question now wasn't just, who pulled the trigger? It was this: how far can power stretch before it finally breaks? Did justice finally catch up to the Murdaughs, or did the power of a dynasty win again? It began with two bodies, a mother and her son, found shot to death near the dog kennels of one of South Carolina's most powerful families. Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, gunned down. No forced entry. No signs of robbery. Just sudden, unrelenting violence that shattered the quiet of Moselle. In the hours that followed, the man who claimed he found them, Alex Murdaugh, husband to Maggie, father to Paul, dialed 911 with panic in his voice. But that call That moment would be the beginning of the end for a family legacy already cracking beneath the surface. Investigators immediately began peeling back layers, and what they found stunned even the most seasoned agents. Financial crimes, allegations of fraud, unexplained deaths in the Murdaugh orbit. A house of cards built on generations of influence, fear, and secrets, now teetering dangerously. In part 1, we trace the immediate aftermath. The 911 call, the media frenzy, a family that appeared publicly united but privately fractured. Alex became more than a grieving husband. He became a person of interest. And the deeper they dug, the less he could hide. Now, investigators were closing in. Witnesses were being called, evidence re-examined. And the man who once controlled courtrooms found himself headed toward the defendant's chair. The country watched in disbelief. How did one of South Carolina's most feared legal dynasties unravel so publicly and so violently? What began as a double homicide investigation was quickly becoming something far bigger, a scandal that would drag the Murdaugh name through every headline in America. And behind closed doors, prosecutors were preparing their move. Because soon, Alex would be indicted, and the courtroom would become the battleground for truth. The murder of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh stunned the Lowcountry and the nation alike. But what came after, the calm, calculated conversations of a man behind bars, offered a jarring contrast to the horror that had unfolded just outside the Murdaugh estate. In the days following his arrest, Alex Murdaugh didn't retreat into silence or remorse. He reached for the phone, and on those recorded jailhouse calls, the public heard something few were prepared for.
How you doing on finances?
Pretty slim, but it'll be getting better.
Well, listen here. Do you want me to tell Uncle John to give you, several $1,000s, and then I'll pay him back?
No, it's just I've just had expenses, like considering I had to change my medical insurance.
Well, we need to get John to pay for the storage facility and then let me pay him back.
Well, I don't understand how you would.
You need to be paying. But anyway, I mean, do you want me to get him to give you just, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 so you just have, and you don't have to worry about expenses?
No, because I've got that money. I mean, right now my bank account, I've got $10,000. A little bit more when I get.
Sure, like when you go play golf, you can, if you want to, get a shirt and have a drink and have drinks or whatever at the bar and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I mean, I've got stuff they can settle all that.
All right. Well, you just got to keep me posted because, I can get him to give you money and then pay him back. Okay. Well, you got to keep me posted and let me know, okay?
All right.
Everything else going okay?
Yeah, everything's fine.
You want to take my clubs?
No, I just use mine. I don't know where yours are. I think yours are still in the Mercedes. It's a sword.
His tone was steady, even upbeat. Alex discussed bank accounts, insurance policies, and pending lawsuits with his surviving son, Buster. There was no tremble in his voice, no urgency, no devastation, just business. It wasn't just the content, it was the detachment. In one call, he advised Buster how to move money. In another, he calculated the equity left in various properties. To many listening, it wasn't the voice of a grieving father, but the voice of a lawyer playing defense, even now, with his back against the wall.
Me that she was going to do that, and Sam Griffin texted me last night to say that he was FedExing that letter that you gave to him for Buster, and that it should be getting here today. And then he also has saved all the images that were on Maggie's computer to zip drive, so we'll keep that in a safe spot too.
That's a deal.
So he's sending all that to me. But did Buster tell you that I'm going to Greenville this weekend?
Yeah, he did.
Well, I mean, I would love to swing by either on Saturday or Monday on, the one day or coming back.
I gotta find out. You have to put in like a week ahead of time. Don't you have to put in a week ahead of time for visitation? So like on Fridays, all right, on Friday they'll ask if you got somebody visiting, and you can only visit on Friday or Saturday. So I promise, Lizzie, don't go out of your way for a, you know, I mean, it'd be just a phone call where, I mean, you'd be in a whole different place.
So is that still how you have to see Jim? Or did they let you see him
No,
face to face?
in-person visits now, is it? All video. So you would come
Already.
into like the front of the jail, and you would sit down at a little video telephone thing they have like in these rooms, all right? So like, and I mean, I've had one or two with Jim. Most of them, and my visits have been in person, but every now and then, like on lockdown, they have to do it by telephone. So you sit down at a telephone with a little camera, and I'm all the way in where I'm at, and you know, so you wouldn't get to really visit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if I can get this video thing set up and figure this out, then you know. But I'll talk to you on Friday and see when we get these forms, and if I don't have it figured out by then, I don't want you going out of your way and not going to be able to set it up for this Friday. This Saturday or Monday. You see what I'm saying? On Friday,
yeah.
I'll get a piece of paper where I can set it up for the next Friday. It's Friday or Saturday, right? It's next Friday or Saturday. You see what I'm saying?
So is that just a guard? Yeah. Is that just a guard that stands there next to you that you can ask questions to?
No,
Or is that another in?
There's somebody in my pod.
Well, what was I going to ask you? It was just on my mind.
Everything right. Lizzie, will you do me a favor?
Mhm.
Will you see to it that flowers get out?
Yeah, in fact, my mom texted me about that this morning. So, because she wanted to send some to Kennedy too. So I need to figure out with Buster where she's going to be that she can get some. But yeah, I'll definitely.
I mean, for Maggie and Paul.
Yeah. No, I know. I knew what you meant. But yes, I'll see to it that that's done, and then my mom will handle some for Kennedy.
All right, I'll call you soon. This ain't no place to be like this, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
Okay. Well,
Love you.
I'm excited about that gag order.
Oh, yeah, Jim and Dick told you about that?
No, it's already online, but it's already online.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
All right.
But it made me happy.
Well, I mean, you know, they tell me he's been running his mouth.
Yeah, just ruthlessly.
Huh?
Ruthlessly. Just kind of like venom, like he's a snake, spitting out venom every other word.
I'm sorry, I'll have to see all that and hear all that.
Well, there's nothing we can't handle.
Love you.
Well, I'm excited that you're doing these mountain climbers.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I can already tell. I've been doing them now for, this is like my 11th day. I started on a Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So this is my 12th day. This is my 12th day.
Well,
I mean, I can already tell a difference in my legs for sure. I've got to start doing more on my arms because you know you eat all this junk food because the food's so bad, and, you know, and the food's terrible, and so you eat this junk food. It doesn't take long. Hey, and tell
one
Tom
thing you could.
I'm gonna call him. Some things we got to figure out, and I appreciate everything you doing, Lizzie, more than you know. Make Buster show you the letter. I mean,
Oh, the one you mailed him?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will. I'm sure we'll probably be getting them the next little bit. They're usually here.
I mean, every one of these phone calls is recorded, and you know that they're listening to them.
Yeah. Well, I knew that they were recorded. I didn't know if they really care to listen to.
I promise you they're listening to mine.
Well, I can just know that we
I appreciate everything, and you give the kids big hugs for me. I'm going to try. All right, so y'all are going to be at Greenfield on Thursday?
Yes.
So is that where everybody's coming to y'all's place?
No, we're going to go to Elm's house at 1 o'clock for dinner. And
Buster's not going to be there.
Right, he's going to be in Charleston, but then he's spending Thursday night with us. And then there's that quail hunt on Friday that your mom is going to do at Greenfield.
That sounds fun. I've been doing a lot of thinking and, just about taking all these pills and how that all started and, there's no doubt when I started taking them that I'll wait till I get out and tell you all this. There's things I remember now that, this just goes back 20 years. No, this goes back 23 years. But I know Maggie told you she had a real hard time when we moved to Hampton.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say.
That's generating some bitter damn feelings.
Oh, and that's understandable, and it's just part of it to work through it. I mean, I have the same feelings, so don't think that it's exclusively you.
We'll talk about it. Hopefully, when I get out of here, and so hopefully, if things go right, I'll get out of here, and then I'll go get some more treatment. Then I'll get out for a little while before I have to go deal with everything. So we'll talk. I love you more than you'll ever know.
Well, I love you so much, and I'm going to finish my workout with some mountain climbers in your honor.
Thank you for putting flowers out for me.
Yes, I'll definitely get that done. Probably tomorrow or the next day when I head that way.
All right. Well, that sounds real good, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
You have 1 minute remaining.
We've taken up the whole call. Must be, you get 15 minutes? So, all right. I love you.
All right. It was 15 minutes of my best part of my day.
Thank you.
All right. Love you.
And then came the calls with Liz Murdaugh, his sister-in-law. They talked about meal portions, working out, how the jail food tasted, and when visits would be allowed again. A chuckle here, a joke there, a sense of normalcy in the most abnormal of times. To the outside world, these calls weren't harmless banter. They were evidence. Evidence of detachment, of manipulation, of a man still very much pulling strings from within a cell. Legal analysts and behavioral experts began to weigh in. Was this grief disguised in Southern composure? Or guilt, repackaged as control? One analyst noted the pattern. Alex would pivot conversations quickly, from feelings to finances, from memories to motions. Nothing lingered. Nothing felt raw. And through it all, Buster remained distant, responding with short phrases, careful words, as though measuring every sentence. As though he knew the world was listening. The release of these jailhouse tapes sparked immediate backlash. Social media ignited. Cable news debated. Protesters stood outside courthouses holding signs that read justice for Maggie and Paul. The court of public opinion was loud, and it was turning. To some, Alex's voice confirmed their worst fears. That this wasn't just a tragedy, it was a cover-up. That this wasn't about justice, it was about power. That behind the voice on the line was a man who still believed he had control. But inside those walls, stripped of his badge, his firm, and his fortune, all Alex had left were his words. And even those were beginning to betray him. On a humid summer morning in South Carolina, Alex Murdaugh sat in a courtroom, head down, jaw clenched. Just months earlier, he was a powerful attorney, a man whose name echoed through courtrooms and political circles alike. Now, he was prisoner number 00390-394, shackled and indicted for the murder of his own wife and son. It was a trial that would grip the nation, not just because of the horror of the crimes, but because of the legacy behind the man accused. For generations, the Murdaugh name carried weight across the Lowcountry. For over 85 years, 3 generations of Murdaugh men had served as solicitors, essentially prosecutors, over a 5-county region of South Carolina. They were the law, the enforcers, the power brokers. Until now, the fall of Alex Murdaugh was more than a courtroom drama. It was a dynasty unraveling in real time. The prosecution wasted no time establishing a motive, one built not on rage but on ruin. According to them, this wasn't a crime of passion. It was a crime of panic. They argued that Alex's world was collapsing. His financial empire was crumbling, and the pressure was suffocating. Millions of dollars were missing. Clients were demanding answers. The walls were closing in. And so, the state claimed he did the unthinkable. He killed his wife Maggie and his youngest son Paul. Not out of hate, but to gain time, to gain sympathy, to redirect attention away from his own unraveling life. In that courtroom, the jury wasn't just watching a man stand trial. They were watching the exposure of secrets, cover-ups, and buried truths. The prosecution walked the jury through a timeline stitched together with digital footprints, surveillance footage, and the voices of the dead. One of the most damning pieces of evidence, a Snapchat video, captured just minutes before the murders. It showed Paul, alive while playful. He was standing near the dog kennels at the family's hunting estate. But what truly mattered was the voice heard in the background. Alex's voice. The same Alex who insisted he hadn't been near the kennels that night. The video placed him at the scene of the crime, moments before Maggie and Paul were killed. Then came the emotional weight of testimony. Law enforcement officers testified with grim precision. They detailed the trajectory of bullets, the spread of blood spatter, the inconsistencies in Alex's story. Every word, every diagram, every piece of evidence tightened the noose. But then the courtroom turned its gaze toward someone else. Someone who had remained largely silent throughout the chaos.
To do this is because there's been an awful lot of, negative publicity talking about, my family and also about myself. And I just want to be able to give a truer perspective and let people understand that some of the things that are out there might not be exactly the truth.
The argument that killing Paul and Maggie would buy him even more time. It would turn sympathy on him at a moment when a lot was about to come down. What do you think about that?
I was thinking that I don't know what or how bad everything was going to get or how bad everything had gotten for him. But I do know that I do not think that his justification and his out of whatever storm he concocted was to kill my mother and brother. I remember we approached the main entrance to Moselle. We can see all the police cars and the lights shining through the trees.
I can't even imagine. You get to your home where your family lives and you've spent all this time and it's crawling with law enforcement. Did you go over to the kennels at all?
No, I did not. People did tell me not to go down there. The crime scene had been cut off and they sent everybody over to the house.
And what'd you say to your dad?
I didn't say anything to my father. I walked inside and I saw him, and it was utter silence. It was a big embrace. He immediately broke down crying. I started crying, and that was what that was. I mean, it's difficult to relive these tough circumstances.
It was the first time the world truly heard from Buster Murdaugh, the surviving son, the one who had lost his mother, his brother, and now stood to lose his father to a life sentence. He appeared calm, but visibly tense. His eyes shifted between the floor and the jury. His words were measured, his tone heavy. He didn't offer an alibi. He didn't claim to know what happened that night. Instead, Buster spoke of the man he knew, his father, his family, the traditions they shared, the love that once held them together. But in the silence between his words, the weight of legacy and loss filled the room. The prosecution then reintroduced a haunting piece of evidence, Rogan Gibson's call. Rogan, one of Paul's closest friends, had spoken to Paul just minutes before the murders. In that call, Paul had mentioned that his father was nearby, that he had just arrived. Rogan testified that he was certain the voice in that Snapchat video was Alex's. He had heard that voice hundreds of times before. He couldn't mistake it. The defense pushed back. They argued Alex had no motive, that he loved his family, that he had been a victim of a calculated smear campaign. But the prosecution kept coming. And with each piece of evidence, each witness testimony, the image of Alex Murdaugh as a grieving husband and father grew harder to believe. Still, inside that courtroom, doubt lingered like smoke. Because this wasn't just about forensic science or cell phone data. This was about power, and whether it could still protect a man who once seemed untouchable. Then came the emotional reactions, hushed sobs from family members, jurors looking away, the courtroom packed with journalists, friends, neighbors, and strangers, everyone holding their breath, watching history unfold, watching a dynasty collapse. They say the truth always comes out. And for Alex Murdaugh, it began unraveling when he opened his own mouth. The bombshell hit in the courtroom like a tidal wave. After months of denial, after insisting he had not been at the dog kennels the night Maggie and Paul were killed, Alex Murdaugh finally admitted it. Yes, he was there. A shocking reversal. A confession buried under layers of lies. But why now? Why admit it after so long? Prosecutors pointed to one crucial piece of evidence. The Snapchat video recorded by Paul minutes before his murder. In that video, Paul playfully filmed one of the dogs. In the background, 3 voices could be heard. One of them unmistakably belonged to Alex. And yet, for 20 long months, Alex had denied even being near the kennels that night. Now, faced with irrefutable audio, his story collapsed. He told the jury he lied because he was paranoid, because he was addicted to opioids, because his mind was clouded. But to many, the timing wasn't an act of clarity, it was desperation, because the truth was closing in. Then came the second wave, the tidal surge of his financial crimes. One by one, the prosecution laid them bare. Millions of dollars embezzled from clients, including vulnerable families, grieving widows, disabled accident victims. Money meant for trust funds, stolen and rerouted into Alex's own pockets. The courtroom watched in stunned silence. Charts, ledgers, checks, transfers. And behind it all, a smiling, trusted attorney. The betrayal was staggering. But the prosecution's message was clear. Alex's life was built on a house of cards. And that house was collapsing. They argued he was cornered, facing public disgrace, criminal charges, financial ruin. And in their theory, it was all too much to bear. That's why they say he murdered Maggie and Paul, not out of rage, but to buy time, to play the victim, to gain sympathy, to control the narrative one last time. But what about the evidence? There was no DNA linking Alex to the scene, no bloody clothing found, no murder weapons recovered. But the circumstantial web was growing tighter. He had opportunity. He had motive. He had lied. And above all, he was present at the scene just minutes before the murders. The timeline, so carefully crafted by the defense, now lay in tatters. Witness after witness painted a picture of manipulation and calculation. A man who was used to controlling everything. But even as the weight of it all bore down, Alex stayed composed. Buster Murdaugh, seated behind his father day after day, stared straight ahead, expressionless, silent, unblinking. The camera would sometimes pan to him, but there was no reaction, no tears, no movement, just a son, watching the slow destruction of his father's legacy. And the world watched with him, waiting, holding its breath. Because after all the bombshells, all the betrayals, and all the lies, there was still one thing left to come. The verdict. March 2nd, 2023. The courtroom is silent. All eyes locked on the man at the defense table. A man who once stood tall in his community, whose family name echoed through courthouses and courtrooms across South Carolina. Alex Murdaugh rises to face the jury. The verdict is in, and does not take long. The jury, after less than 3 hours of deliberation, announces its decision. Guilty on all counts. Murder in the death of his son, Paul Murdaugh. Murder in the death of his wife, Maggie Murdaugh. And guilty on 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. The room is heavy, not with gasps or outbursts, but with a chilling collective intake of breath. And yet, Alex Murdaugh shows no visible emotion. No tears, no disbelief, no collapse. He stands still, hands crossed, face unreadable.
Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably loved so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive.
The following day, March 3rd, 2023, sentencing. The Honorable Judge Clifton Newman enters the courtroom with a demeanor both calm and deliberate. He looks directly at Murdaugh. The words are deliberate. You have engaged in such duplicitous conduct. It's disturbing. You've lived a double life. Deceit, theft, manipulation, and now murder. Alex maintains his innocence. Even now, even after the jury has spoken, he addresses the court with cold conviction. I would never hurt Maggie, and I would never hurt Paul. But the words hang in the air, hollow, like smoke from a long extinguished fire. Judge Newman responds with chilling finality. You may not have been the monster you became, but you became one. Then the sentence. 2 consecutive life terms in prison. No possibility of parole. No hope of appeal. No end to the legacy of devastation left behind. As the gavel falls, so too does the curtain on a chapter that once defined an empire. The fall of the House of Murdaugh. Some in the public see it as a triumph of justice. A symbol that even the powerful cannot outrun the truth. Others are still conflicted. They argue the case was too circumstantial. That the lack of DNA, the absence of murder weapons, left room for doubt. But one truth now defines the story. A man once revered is now imprisoned for life. And the bloodline that ruled the Lowcountry for generations is forever changed. August 2025. The dust has settled, but the echoes of the Murdaugh saga still linger in South Carolina's thick air. Alex Murdaugh now lives behind bars, no longer in the courtroom spotlight, but not forgotten. After being convicted of murdering his wife and son, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But that's not the end of his legal battles. From within the sterile walls of his cell, Alex now faces a separate mountain of charges. More than 100 state and federal counts tied to financial fraud. Charges that paint a man who, for years, bled his own clients dry, all while wearing the mask of a family legacy. He's housed at McCormick Correctional Institution, a high-security prison in South Carolina. There, Alex wakes up each day stripped of power, wealth, and prestige. Just another inmate. A number in a system he once manipulated. Still, he maintains his innocence. Even now, His voice carries a practiced calm, a lawyer's tone, smooth, composed, but no longer believed. In a recorded jailhouse phone call between Alex and his only surviving son Buster, the tone shifts. There's no arrogance, no courtroom pretense, just a father clinging to his last thread of connection. The world heard that call, and just like everything else in this case, it was met with fierce division. Buster Murdaugh, once a law student with a clear path, now walks through life as a man marked by tragedy, scandal, and skepticism. He keeps a low profile these days. No more interviews. No more statements. His last public appearance was a solemn one, sitting still in the courtroom as the verdict crushed the family name. He said little since, but in his rare moments of speaking publicly, Buster has remained firm. He believes his father is innocent. Whether that belief is rooted in truth, denial, or blind loyalty, no one can say for sure. But to many, that loyalty is both tragic and telling. The name Murdaugh, once synonymous with legal power in the Low Country, is now synonymous with betrayal, bloodshed, and a fall from grace so steep it shook the entire nation. Civil lawsuits continue to circle what's left of the family's fortune. Victims of Alex's alleged financial schemes want restitution. Some may never see a dime. Others just closure. The community of Hampton, South Carolina, remains haunted. Empty courtrooms, stained reputations, and the unshakable weight of knowing that justice, those served, came at an unfathomable price. In the end, the Murdaugh dynasty didn't collapse with a whisper. It exploded in the public eye, a Southern empire turned cautionary tale. And even now, its shadows continue to stretch long after the trial ended. 100 years of power, wealth, prestige, the kind of name that could open doors and silence questions, gone in the blink of an eye. Alex Murdaugh was born into privilege, raised under the weight of legacy, and trusted with the lives and justice of others. But behind that Southern charm was a storm of secrets, of deceit, of desperation. That storm destroyed everything. Paul Murdaugh and his mother Maggie are gone. Their lives were ended violently, and the man in shackles was their father and husband. And Buster Murdaugh, the son who remains, left to carry a name that once meant honor, now tainted by scandal, grief, and suspicion. The courtroom may have echoed with a verdict. The public may have moved on to the next headline. But for those closest to this tragedy, time has not healed anything. A community shattered, a legacy obliterated, and a family that will never be whole again. Was this truly justice? Or the final, tragic act in a story far darker than we can imagine? What do you think? Did the jury make the right call? Was Alex Murdaugh a grieving father caught in a storm, or a cold, calculating killer who thought he could outsmart the system? Backend index pointing right. Let us know in the comments. We read them all. Backend index pointing right. And if this story haunted you like it haunted us, go back and watch part 1. Understand where it all began. Before the blood, before the lies, before the fall. This was the Murdaugh dynasty, and this is how it ended.